autofocus is great. I can see myself on there. A little bit beardy. What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been about 2 months or something, and I don't really like watching update videos or making them, but it's been long enough that I feel like I really need to let you guys know what's been happening, what's coming up, and just, yeah, general update saying hi, I'm back, before I get into all the videos that I have backed up ready to release. So excuse me if I'm sounding a little bit rusty. It has been really long and I feel really awkward in front of the camera all over again. So to make this a little bit easier for you guys, I'm going to put a whole bunch of images that I took from my first wedding back since lockdown here in New Zealand. It was down in Queenstown, a really epic wedding, and I shot it with the A9 Mark II. Thanks to Sony New Zealand for lending that to me. All of the photos you're seeing are edited with my preset pack. The wedding was mostly edited with the CTM Universal, and I think that's in pack 2 if you just want to buy the single pack. And the engagement shoot was mostly edited with CTM 1, which is the original pack. So just a heads up, if you guys want to support my channel, those presets are a really great way to help me get some more income so I can spend more time making videos for you guys. Don't feel like you have to though, totally up to you. And this vlog is being filmed on the A7S III. It is a pre-production unit, but I've been using it for the last day or so and it's been really, really impressive. So we will be talking about that very soon. Another couple of things before we get into it, which I always mean to say in other videos. If I've said something wrong or if I need to correct myself, I usually do that in the comments or the description. So before jumping on, and if I've said something wrong, jumping in the comments, just check the first comment. If I do any corrections or anything like that, it'll be pinned to the top of the list. Also, I will put some timestamps in the description, so there's quite a few subjects that I want to go over, and this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. So if you're not interested in hearing about something, you can go down there and click the timestamps for all the different things I'm going to be talking about. So a quick overview, we are going to talk about the Canon EOS R5, R6. I have had a chance to play with those. We're going to talk about the Sony A7S III. We're going to talk about the A9 II. I've used the Sigma 1.2 again. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of images from that. We'll talk a little bit about what's been happening over the past little while, and just general saying hi to everybody. And we'll be going over all the reviews that are up and coming. I have a whole bunch of gear that lots of different companies have sent me to review, and I really need to get on to releasing those videos. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out in the next few weeks, and hopefully things will just go back to a normal 2 videos a week or something like that schedule. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. First, I'm going to give you guys an update on what's been going on in my life and with my business and all that kind of stuff. This isn't going to interest a lot of you, so check the timestamps. The next subject will be about the Canon EOS R5 and R6. So life has been alright. We have hit a second lockdown here in New Zealand just over the last couple of days. I don't know what the date is now. It is the 15th of August. About 2 days ago, I think, we went back up to level 3. I don't know if the rest of the world is familiar with that, but level 4 is like full lockdown. Everything's shut, stay home, not allowed to go outside, all that kind of stuff. So we are back to level 3 because we had another spurt of infections coming out in the community, but it seems like it's being under control, and I think we'll be out of level 3 in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully, fingers crossed. But business has been good. Things have picked up again. I booked about 7 to 10 weddings-ish over the last sort of 2 months, so things have really started to pick up. I did get really nervous over this last time, but I don't really have, it's still not wedding season here in New Zealand, so I don't have a lot of work coming up until like the end of October, and we should be fine by then again. So again, fingers crossed, hopefully everything's going to be sweet. But yeah, it was just getting a little bit too much, making all these videos for you guys and replying to comments, and I found myself, I was getting a little bit snarky with some of the comments. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know I just am straight up and I don't really have the patience for just stupid comments. So, but usually I can just ignore it, so I'm going back to that now. I need to chill out a little bit and just ignore the rubbish comments and get on with the rest of it, because I make these videos for you guys. Trust me, it's not worth the money. I do make a little bit of money from YouTube, but that's not the reason why I do it. Over this past 2 months, I've just been playing with motorbikes pretty much. I ended up selling my Triumph Street Triple, and I bought a Supermoto, just a DRZ 400 Supermoto. I'm loving it to bits. I put some dirt tires on it. I've taken it to a motocross track, and just having a whole bunch of fun with that. I've done a lot of woodworking and stuff, but just generally mucking around and just making stuff. I really just like to enjoy making stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I figured it's time to get back into YouTube. So let's talk about the Canon EOS R5 and R6. I did have a play with them. And if I'm being totally honest with you guys, a lot of you have asked me straight up if I'm considering switching to those cameras since they've been out. And the answer is just flat out no. And that's not because the Canon EOS R5 and R6 are bad cameras. They just don't do anything really that my Sonys don't do already. So for me to switch a camera brands, it really has to do something better that is going to benefit my business, make shooting easier for me, or just a really high jump in image quality or something like that. There really needs to be a good solid reason to switch. I'm not just going to switch just because it's a new camera and it's come out. Saying that, I did have a play with the R5 and the R6, and I did really want to like them because I feel like I need a fresh start and something new to play with. But after using them, I did like a few things. I didn't like, obviously, the overheating issues. It's been up and down. You know, people are saying they don't overheat, people are saying they do. The fact is they do overheat, but it's not going to affect a lot of people. So my opinion on the Canon EOS R5 and R6 as a photographer, not a videographer, I think they're going to be really good cameras, and if I was like on a 5D4 or something like that, I would definitely upgrade to them. The battery life on paper doesn't seem really good, but a lot of people have already been using it and have had pretty decent battery life with photos, certainly enough to go through for wedding photography or something like that. You know, maybe you take 2 or 3 batteries per camera just to get by, but I haven't used it for a really extended period of time. However, if you were getting into doing photo and video at the same time, you know, the issue isn't that the camera overheats, because you can just shoot in 1080p and have no overheating issues, or you can shoot in a lower 4K quality resolution and not have any overheating issues for the most part. But the issue is the price, and that, you know, it's a really expensive camera, and to have those kind of issues, like I said, there's nothing that a Sony that I already have, even my A7III, really cheap Sony camera, can do. So they're just, you know, it just doesn't really make sense to me. You know, I guess Canon are kind of kicking themselves a little bit for doing that, but they are trying, and it's not the end of the world. Like I said, a lot of people aren't going to even be considering doing video at all, so I think it's going to be a really great camera for them. The stabilization is really nice. It does have a little bit of that warpy issue, which I did notice when I was using it. The camera grip itself is really nice. It's definitely, I think personally, it's the best feeling mirrorless camera in your hands. It is going to be personal preference a little bit, but the other thing I'm not really a fan of, and it's not just the R5 and the R6, it's all of Canon's mirrorless cameras, is the way the iFocus works. I've talked about this a bit in the past, and I've been really criticized for it, but you know, you guys just have to play with it for yourself. And you know, it's really difficult to understand if you haven't used a Sony that's well set up and using iFocus. The issue with it is that you have to be in wide area, and if you have multiple people, it can just take a little bit of time and a little bit of fine-tuning to figure out how to get focus on the person you want. So for example, there's quite a lot of times where I will you know, there'll be 2 people standing here and then 1 in the background, and I'll be using the people in front out of focus to create a bit of depth of field. And you know, if you're in wide area focus on the Canon, it's not going to let you pick that eye in the background most of the time. So it's just the way that iFocus works. The actual performance of iFocus, like if you were just doing portraits of a single person or something like that, it's really, really impressive, and I'd say it's probably just as good as the Sony cameras, even the latest generation ones. Another thing I want to touch on, just on the R6 specifically, because it's a more user-friendly price, it's more accessible to a lot of people, and I think most people are going to be looking at that camera. 20 megapixels is fine in my opinion. I really don't think you need more than that. It's perfectly fine. But I couldn't get a straight answer out of the Canon reps that were presenting the camera to us on whether or not the camera is weather sealed. There's nothing to say it's weather sealed. They have the same kind of dust and moisture resistance that Sony say about the A7 Mark III, which is basically, it's not really properly weather sealed. It's kind of weather sealed-ish, like the Canon 6D or 6D Mark II, and the EOS R5 is properly weather sealed like the 5D. And again, for, you know, I think it sells for about $5,000. I'll probably have to correct that here in New Zealand. And it's just too much for a non-weather sealed, overheating video kind of camera, in my opinion. Right, moving on to the A7S III, which I am filming on now. I am going to do a video on this. I'm going to do a video on most of these subjects that I'm talking about individually. Man, honestly, I have this crazy confirmation bias going on in my brain at the moment because I'm trying to tell myself that 12 megapixels is enough for wedding photography. And honestly, in most situations, I think it's going to be fine. It's really just if people are printing sort of over A3 that you're going to start to notice a big difference compared to like my A7R3s, for example, which obviously you would. It's 12 megapixels versus 42. It doesn't weigh up. But, you know, 12 megapixels, you're dropping a lot in resolution in exchange for basically night vision goggles with a sensor. That's pretty impressive. I do really want to use the A7S III for wedding photo and video. I have taken a few photos with it, but I can't edit the raw files at the moment because there's no codec out, obviously. If you guys know of something that will let me edit them, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear that because I have a whole bunch of photos. I'd love to edit them and show you guys. But the JPEGs look great. I'm just not really a fan of JPEGs, and it's not something I use. So yeah, A7S III, I will make a separate video on it, but it's so impressive. I think they've just hit it out of the park. It's obviously, again, an expensive camera, but you know, it has a bigger grip, better battery life. It does have the flip out screen, which for this, you know, YouTube videos, it's great, but I do usually use my Ninja 5 for my YouTube videos and stuff like that, so I don't really need the flip out screen, and I don't really like it in terms of photo. I prefer having the screen like my A7R III that folds out instead because I hip shoot a lot, and having the screen out there, I just feel like I'd snap it off. But it's such an impressive camera. All the controls are better. Just everything, the way that they've thought about it, is just fantastic. If you want to see a really in-depth review on the video features of the A7S III, check out Gerald Undun's video. That guy just kills every video. He's so impressive, and all the specs, you know, he just tests everything really well, much better than I ever would for a video shooter's review. So go and check his channel out if you want to see some really impressive videos. He's done them about the R5, R6, A7S III, all that kind of stuff. So I will give you guys my review as well. I'm going to do a separate one just about photo because I think still a lot of people are going to be interested in this camera for photo, especially if you do a lot of night photography or something like that. You know, astrophotography, this camera is just going to be a beast. So watch out for that. Really stoked to have it with me at the moment. Next, I want to talk about the A9 Mark II. So like I said before, I've been going over this idea in my head where I really just want something fresh, you know. This whole COVID thing, I haven't been taking photos, and I just feel like I've gotten a little bit stale. I was a little bit nervous when I went and shot this wedding down in Queenstown from the images that you're seeing. You know, it'd been a long time, a couple of months since I'd shot a wedding. I'm used to doing like 40, 45 a year. And I was a little bit nervous, but, you know, I did really well, and I'm pretty happy with it. It was a fantastic day. The couple were amazing. The A9 Mark II, like I said, I wanted to get a new camera system, or at least update my cameras, just so I could feel like I have something new to play with. And yeah, so I borrowed the A9 Mark II. I did think for a little bit about getting two of those and replacing my A7R3s. If you guys know, I had an A9 Mark I. When they first came out, I shot an entire wedding season with it, you know, a good 50 weddings, and I really loved it. The only thing I hated about it was it didn't have S-Log or any picture profiles, which I use a lot. I'm using S-Log 2 right now, and obviously the A9 Mark II still doesn't have that. So it's not a total deal breaker, but, you know, after using it at the wedding, I really, you know, I shot an A9 II and my A7R III side by side with my 24mm and my 55mm most of the time. I used my 85 a little bit for the ceremony. But to tell you the truth, I didn't really notice a huge difference between the two. You know, an A7R III, it's not even the newest R-series camera. And the autofocus on the A9 was definitely a little bit better, but it wasn't game-changing. It wasn't like, after using it, I felt like my A7R III. It wasn't like after using it, the A9 Mark II, that my A7R III wasn't good enough anymore. They were so close together that, you know, I just can't see the benefit in that extra money, which is quite a lot of extra money, for all the features that it has. So I'm going to skip on the A9 Mark II, but don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic camera, probably better suited for like a sports photographer or someone into wildlife photography or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my R3s at the moment, and I'll wait till the A7 Mark IV comes out and give that a play, see, you know, do my testing with the A7S III. and we'll just compare them all, and you guys will know what decision I make before, you know, we do anything about it. But I have been shooting my A7R3s for quite a while. They're pretty well used, and it's probably about time next wedding season that I get some new cameras. Right, so some other updates. I have been playing a lot with the Fuji X-T4. I really like that camera as well. It's much better for video than I thought it would be. The autofocus has been really impressively improved. Really loving that, so I'll give you guys a review on that camera as well. I have a couple of lenses to review. I'm going over the Sigma again because it's had an update, and I just feel like it performs a little bit better than it was in the past. This is the 35mm 1.2 I'm talking about. I also have a couple of lenses. So I have a Viltrox 23mm 1.4 autofocus lens for Fuji, and I have a Viltrox 35mm 1.4 E-mount for the crop sensor Sony cameras, which is also autofocus. So I'll be giving you guys a review on that. Loupedeck sent me their Loupedeck CT. You guys may have seen a post about it. I've been using that for the past little while, editing all these wedding photos that I've been going over, and it's really impressive. I really like it. There's a few little software bugs that are kind of annoying, but I feel like I'm getting on top of it. But I'll save that for the review. I'll give you guys a full rundown on that. I also did sell my MacBook 15-inch. It was like a late 2017 model, and I bought the new highest spec without going custom 2019 or 2020, I guess, MacBook Pro 16-inch. And I'm really loving that. I do still have my PC, but I really need to keep my Mac for using Final Cut. So yeah, really impressive, love it. Maybe if you guys are interested, I'll do a little video on that as well. I have another dual camera harness, I have an electronic slider, I have a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to go over as well. So that's about it, guys. Thanks heaps for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I'm still getting about the same amount of subscribers every week, and you know, I really appreciate everybody that's following along. I've had a lot of messages from you guys saying, you know, are you alright? What's going on? And yeah, I'm totally fine. I just needed a little bit of a break, but I do really appreciate all your support and all the really nice comments that are coming through. I really enjoy the fact that a lot of my videos are helping you guys out. So let me know if there's anything you guys want to see, maybe some instructional videos or something like that. I know everybody is asking for a video on how I do photo and video at the same time. I am still working on that one. It is really tricky, and I really need some more weddings to come in so I can get some more live footage. So I've planned to get someone to come along and shoot behind the scenes, so I can have someone dedicated to make these videos for you guys. So it's going to be a really big project, not just a kind of quick, this is how I do it, this is what settings to use. I want to have someone come and shoot behind the scenes at a real wedding so you guys can see that, and hopefully get, you know, maybe 4 or 5 weddings in the bag with that kind of stuff, and release a full series about it. I did think about doing a Patreon series. You know, I'm not on Patreon at the moment, but with this whole COVID thing, and you guys seem to think it's a good idea as well. But I don't want to make this content just exclusively. I don't want you guys to have to pay for it. So I'll think about what I'm going to do with that, and maybe you guys let me know in the comments. So again, guys, thank you so much for following along. I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. This video has really kind of broken the ice, so I can just feel a little bit more natural in front of the camera and get back into it. So thanks for watching. Sorry it dragged on a little bit. I'll see you guys in the next video in a couple of days.